What's going on, guys and gals, and welcome to Good Real Hunting, where we hunt for the good reels so you don't have to. It's your boy Brad. Bretman's right over here. Chris is right below us. We're going to be reviewing the new Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, here right now. We're not going to give you any spoilers for this thing. We're just going to jump right into this thing and just give you a good time with it. So, obviously, with it being a new release, we don't want to go ahead and spoil the thing for you. If you haven't seen our other 2021 movie reviews, we'll put a link for those over Brett's head. It's been a lot of good movies this year in comparison to last year. So we're excited to get into this one, man. But overall, man, you guys excited to talk about this thing or what?
I'm excited to an extent, but you know me, The Conjuring is personal to me, so I'll do a little bit of defending on this, but let's just go for it. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Excited to talk about it. Not necessarily excited to watch it again. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah. So let's just dive right into it, man. What do you fellas thinking?
All right, let's go with some of the positives. Brad, I'll let you go. Actually, you know, I'm going to leave you because I know you got a lot to say on your mind about this. So the first big positive for me is freaking Patrick Wilson and Farmiga. Just again, another great performance of their characters with Ed and Lorraine Warren. You could tell like that. They got such good chemistry with each other. Might not be at its strongest in this one, but it's still there. It still helps carry the movie, and I really enjoy them as a couple.
I think that's the strongest point of the movie, and I think Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson, first of all, is criminally underused. He's a great actor, and I don't think that he gets enough good work. And he's always been great in the Conjuring series, and I think that he's great again here. I think that he's does everything that he's asked to do in terms of Ed. I think he's great here, and I think Vera Farmiga, almost gets a little bit more to work with here than in the other installments. But I will say that for me, that's definitely the strongest point of this movie are the performances, and also the chemistry and everything else between those two carries over from the other two films, and I think it's really strong again here. That's definitely the biggest positive of this movie for me.
Yeah, and I love the line too with Patrick Wilson going and saying like, "Well, we're asking them to believe like in God and all that. I think it's about time that they start believing in the devil." I love that line delivered in the movie.
Definitely. I think Ed and Lorraine were definitely a high point for this movie. Obviously, once again, no surprise there. I think they were fantastic. And like you said, Lorraine gets an opportunity to kind of take the lead at times in this thing. And put Ed kind of on the back burner, so to speak. And I think that pays off kind of nicely. It's nice to see her kind of take those reins at times. And overall, I like the idea that like they did try to do something new with this. They didn't do the classic haunted house kind of storyline with this. They tried to branch out. They tried to do something different, and I respect them for doing that. At the end of the day, I don't think they did a really good job with it, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I do, at the end of the day, appreciate that attempt.
Right. And another little positive too with me, I do enjoy like the side characters, like with the family they provided in this one. I just liked them a lot. They're believable. I thought they did a really good job with what they were given to do, and I thought it was nice just to have them in the movie.
And Arnie and his girlfriend, wife, I'm not sure, it was fiance or whatever it was.
It was girlfriend. I think he was going to propose.
They did a really good job. I thought the young boy is David, I believe was his name. Did a really good job. But most of all, as in terms of side character, I thought the old man that plays the priest that they're both familiar with. I can't remember his name, father or so and so. And forgive me, I don't know the actor's name right offhand, but he's been in some other stuff. He did a really good job. I thought that was my favorite side character. I thought he absolutely nailed what he was asked to do. Just as like a point of contact for them, throughout the movie. he was phenomenal. I liked him a lot.
I'm pretty much done with the positives, honestly. Like I listed them all out already.
Oh well, okay.
Did you like the old
easy.
man though? Did you think that he did a pretty good job? I thought he did a good job for what he was asked to do. Right.
From a performance standpoint, yes, I thought he did fine.
Right. Yes. From a story standpoint, it's a little bit different, but acting wise, he was very good. I thought.
Yeah, I thought he was solid.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I guess we're jumping right into the negatives. Brad, I know you got a lot of thoughts. I know you've been waiting patiently, so the floor is yours.
Okay, I thought first off, I thought the story of this thing was a disaster. Okay, I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm not gonna tell you any spoilers. I'm not gonna give anything away. But I think the trailer for this movie pitched a movie that we did not get. It pitched this whole movie, courtroom drama, investigation for a court case, and we didn't really get that. That really played a really small part in this whole thing. Ed and Lorraine were out there doing all kinds of random shit. They I get they were out there doing investigative stuff for the case. I get that, but it's just like it just seemed like they were going to different places. For me, it seemed like they were going to different settings so you can have more jump scares at the end of the day. Like they went to one setting so we can get this jump scare. They went to another setting so we can get this jump scare. It didn't really seem like it served the story for me. We're meeting all these random characters along the way that you don't really know and you don't really care about. They're just there to kind of progress the story along. The main characters, I thought Arnie and the fiance, I thought they were fine. I thought they were good, but at the end of the day, I really didn't care about them like I did with the side characters in part 1 and part 2. The families were getting those because they disappear for a large portion of the movie. For like they're there at the beginning. They do a solid job at the beginning with them building up their story, but then they kind of just go away and we follow Ed and Lorraine for a little bit, which is fine because obviously they're the best part of the movie, but you don't really care about these guys at the end of the day. It just they go off and do their own little thing, and these guys are kind of left on the back burner. Whereas Ed and Lorraine for the first couple movies, they were almost side characters at to an extent, right? Like because we meet kind of we get the little opening, but then we meet the family that they're trying to help for a little bit, and we spend some time with them, and then they call Ed and Lorraine and they come in and help out. And then they're kind of like this, they're there to help your protagonist. Or whereas in this story, they kind of become the main characters to an extent, but at the same time, they were trying to develop this other story over here, and it's like they lose focus at times. Either way you spin it,
yeah, kind of like that good old classic like side quests in video games too. That's like the feel I got.
Yeah, definitely. I think they do a lot of that, and for that reason, like there's just like I don't know. Yeah, you lose interest in this like the side characters and stuff. For me, anyway. I thought there was no suspense in this thing. You get these great moments in the first couple movies. Like the first one, you get like, oh my gosh, there's somebody in the corner looking at us. But there's nobody there. You can see it's just darkness and whatnot, and it's just huge, setting up that suspense perfectly. Beautiful. The second one, they do the same thing. Oh, there's a dude over there. They turn the light on. It's just a fucking poster. Or like you have the guy in the chair in the background. All these little subtle things going on. This movie lacked all that, and they replaced it essentially with jump scares. Like any other freaking paranormal movie that you've seen, this pretty much felt that way. It felt like a high budget jump scare fest, like you've seen 100 times. This one just happened to have Ed and Lorraine in it. So for me, I just didn't. I didn't feel like this was a Conjuring movie in the slightest. It didn't match the tone of the first two movies. You can see it at the very beginning. The little opening of this movie is just it's way too sensational for a Conjuring movie. And it keeps that going on. And for me, that's reasons why I'm disappointed. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Chris, buddy, I don't know how the fuck we're going to top that, but I'll do my best. I obviously enjoyed it a little bit better than Brad, but I kind of agree with Brad too. I was disappointed because with this being the third Conjuring movie, this was your chance to deliver something big to finish strong with this kind of like this trilogy. To me, it failed. And the main reason to me it failed, it just missed James Wan. Because James Wan perfected those damn two movies. They are so fantastic. But this one, it just really missed him. Like, yes, he's the executive producer, but to me, I just did not. The only feel like James Wan thing I felt in this movie, there's one particular scene where it's a continuous shot, kind of like how the first Conjuring was. That's like my favorite shot of the whole movie. But everything else, like Brad said, it's predictable, and it had my big fear of it with the first trailer. To me, it's too cinematic, kind of like too over the top at some points. It did do that, and it really took me out because that's not what The Conjuring is to me. Like the first Conjuring, to me, it perfects of what I want in that movie. Which again, I'm with Brad. I appreciated what they tried to do and do something different versus what the other two did. But it just what the other two did was so damn good. Why stop? Like, why stop it there? So that's all I can really get into without going into spoiler territory.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I think what me and Brad talked about early was it really just didn't fit. It was so bizarre. Like the reason that the first two Conjuring films were so well received, and at least for me, were so good, is because they blended such a it was such a good blend of horror, suspense, and emotional impact, right? You cared about these characters. It was scary as fuck the whole time. You could feel the tension, and then at the end of it, there was a very apparent catharsis, right? You could feel for the characters. You could purge those emotions along with them. And this one just felt like a complete misfire to me. It felt like it was out of place. Me and Brad talked about it. It felt kind of like a cash grab almost in a certain sense where it was like,
and that's sad.
Yeah, it was like it was really out of place. And I love the basis for this, the Arnie Johnson story and all that. But I mean, it was really out of whack there at points. And there was some great acting in there. I love Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. You can't beat these guys. They've been at this for a while. Ed and Lorraine, they have down pat. But they don't feel as close here. They're like disconnected.
Yeah, they didn't play the Ed and Lorraine theme song until the last little bit of the movie. Like
and so it's like,
and again, I'm not going to get to the spoilers there.
And so I don't. I just didn't feel the same as the other films did to me, and that seemed like a real disservice. And it just wasn't quite. I don't really know. It wasn't quite there the way that it was in the other movies. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't really fun, and it wasn't really impactful on an emotional level. So it was kind of like, what are we here for? You know what I mean? That's kind of what it felt like to me. And for me, I felt like it was trying very hard to be scary, along with the score, with the camera work. It was trying very hard to be scary, and in the process, it didn't succeed at all. It was less scary. It was absolutely the least scary of all three entries into this franchise. Yeah, but
if I can interject real quick, and I apologize to interrupt you.
No, absolutely. Please.
I agree with you. With the first Conjuring, the best score was no score. To me, this movie played the score and unnecessary moments. It took away from the scare too.
Definitely,
it was trying too hard.
It was trying too hard.
Yeah, and I want to talk about what we kind of talked about when we saw this. When we all saw this together. You said, well, the scares are pretty
predictable.
Yeah, but you also said they were pretty severe in IMAX. Like, I was jumping out of my seat in IMAX. And
it wasn't because of what the movie did. It was the freaking sound bar and all that. So you had no choice but to jump. But in which I did, I jumped very easily. But yeah, no, out of the three movies, this one made me to jump the least because I kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah, but I will say, it may be the theater, a theatrical experience may be more impactful than watching it at home. I didn't have the option to do that this weekend because I'm dealing with family stuff, but maybe that some people may have a more of an impactful experience with it than I did, watching it at home. And so I will speak to that. Maybe, your scares, it was a little bit scarier watching it, in IMAX or in the theater than it is watching it at home. So I just wanted to speak to that a little bit.
But either way, it's a jump scare fest. It might as well be Annabelle 4. Like it's like Annabelle 3, it's just jump scare after jump scare after jump scare. And it's like nothing's earned, nothing, there's no tension built up, no legitimate tension. And at the end of the day, like this thing is, I mean, it's up there with the Annabelle movies, and it should not be in the same conversation as these spinoffs. It should be, these Conjuring movies are premier movies. These are movies. These are
big time.
Yeah, these are the pinnacle of today's horror movies. This is the franchise to beat. Like this is it. This is the staple. And it just it drops itself down into a conversation with like the freaking like Annabelle or the damn Grudge or whatever. Like it's all in that same kind of
or kind of like Insidious, like going from 3 to 4.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's very disappointing. Like to me, I think you could have found, and again, I don't want to shit on any directors. I know he didn't try to make a bad movie. And for a lot of people, I'm sure they're going to enjoy this movie. For me, it was highly disappointing because of what the first two set up. And I don't think there's any reason why this franchise should be settling on a director that did La Llorona. Like I think this franchise
where was Lee Whannell,
Yeah, where was Lee Whannell? Where was
Lee
the
Whannell?
guy
Where you at, dog?
From Annabelle Comes Home or Annabelle Creation? And hell, Patrick Wilson's going to be directing Insidious 5. Why couldn't he just direct it on this one? Because he understands the franchise and what it's supposed to be. I would have gave him a shot more.
Yeah,
Patrick Wilson has G, dude.
This franchise has the prestige to get a prestige director. You can get Lee Whannell. I understand
Christopher Nolan.
Yes. Oh no. Okay, maybe not. But I understand James Wan is off doing. He's up. He's doing big things right now with Aquaman. So I understand that. I get that. But you can get Lee Whannell. You can get damn. Like you said, Bert, earlier. You could get damn Henry Cavill. No, you can't. But you can get.
You get Superman to direct this movie. Hell yeah. Now, Lee Whannell is the pinnacle, dude, because he was buddies with James Wan. They're still good friends. He fucking directed The Invisible Man. Why was he not, and The Invisible Man was fucking phenomenal. Why was he not hired to direct this, right?
Like you said, Bert, earlier in a private conversation, Mike Flanagan could come in and do this thing. Like he'd be a perfect fit for this thing. Like there's so many people out there that's proved themselves that could have the story itself, I think, is solid. I think the story is good. With the proper direction, I think this thing could have went in a better direction. No pun intended.
Oh, yeah.
I think it really could have gone well, but I think they focused on the wrong things here. To me, it did not feel like a Conjuring movie. It felt like any freaking paranormal jump fest. And at the end of the day, like after I watched the first and the second Conjuring, I went and I watched it. And I said, "Oh man, I got to go straight back to the theater. And I got to watch it again." This one, I watched it. I have no desire to watch it again. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I really don't. There's really no need for me to watch this movie again. At the end of the day, it wasn't scary. It wasn't good. I just, it didn't add anything to this franchise. Like at the end of the day, it's just there. I'll watch the first two Conjuring movies and I'll be right okay.
Completely throwaway. And it also doesn't benefit from the fact that it has one of the worst subtitles in recent memory. The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. I would have been more apt to go to the theater if it was just called The Conjuring Part 3. But let me tell you, there's a reason why they didn't call it that. It is completely not, it's completely different than the first two. And that, just to speak and to second what Brad said, that should be a telltale sign that this is completely different from the first two. It's not The Conjuring Part 3. It's The Conjuring something completely fucking different. It's not as good as the first two.
Or as Brad said, Annabelle 4.
Yeah,
Annabelle 4. Yeah, essentially, yeah.
And that'd be my last comment too, because when you say cash grab, you're absolutely right, and that's so damn disappointing because I feel like they freaking did Curse of La Llorona, The Nun, and Annabelle Part 3 to use all that cash grab money they made to make a badass movie like this. And they just didn't ever cash grab. That breaks my heart.
Yeah, this story has a better movie in it. Like this story.
Oh yeah.
In general, like it could have been the best of the trilogy, hands down, if they would have focused on the right things and built a story out of it and worked on building suspense and tension and all that. But instead, they sacrificed that in lieu of putting in jump scares and people levitating and shit, and
trying to
for
make
that-
it as scary as possible, where they
Yeah.
don't succeed at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and ironically, they took it down a few notches, and yeah, it's the worst of the 3 movies for sure. And I'm not saying it's a horrible movie. I'm just extremely disappointed with it because of what the first 2 gave us, and
Mhm.
and what the potential of this one is.
And this is what my wife said when we watched this together, and she's not a huge fan. She hasn't seen the first 2 movies, or I apologize. She has seen the second one, but she said, you know,
you gotta get her to watch the first one.
yeah, but she's not a horror fanatic at all. I force her to watch them, but she said, you know, it didn't feel like the second one at all, and you know, it just kind of, maybe if it was something different, it would have been better. And I completely agree. I was like, well, yeah, if this was standalone, maybe it would have been a lot better. But you know, as a Conjuring film, you know, as an entry into that franchise, it really didn't serve any purpose whatsoever, and that's upsetting. You know, because it's, you know, it should have been a lot better.
Right.
There was a basis there, and like to second what Brad said, and to further that, it really did present itself as something. You know, the devil made me do it as the courtroom drama, and you really don't get any of that. Spoiler free, but you don't really get a courtroom drama while you're watching this at all whatsoever. So
yeah. So any more quick negative thoughts real quick, or are we just ready to move on?
Let's move on, my
ready to
friend.
move on.
All right, let's score this bad boy. I'll go ahead and give my rating first. Again, I kind of have a soft heart towards the Conjuring franchise, I'll admit, because the first Conjuring is my all-time favorite horror movie, so I am going to be generous. But I'm giving this a 3 out of 5. It's just an average show to me. I enjoyed some parts in this, but as Brad says, it's just it's disappointing, and just I really wanted this franchise to end strong, or like this particular trilogy, and it just didn't do that for me. 3 out of 5.
Well, I'll second Bert. I mean, I love the first one. It's definitely one of my favorite movies that's come out in the last 10 years, and that is the reason why I'm so disappointed in this one, and why I can't give it anything higher than a 2.5. 2.5.
And to come in on the very end of this, I mean, I start every review that I do at a 3. That means it's perfectly watchable, but nothing spectacular. And so I give it a 3 out of 5 is what I gave it. In terms of it's watchable, I don't have any feelings toward it really. But you both love The Conjuring probably more than I do, so I understand both of your ratings. So I just give it a 3 right in the middle, and I say, hey, it's watchable, but not something that I would revisit very often.
Mm-hmm. There we go. And then that is going to be a low, just average Joe's gymnasium.
Average Joe's gymnasium.
Oh my sweet Jesus!
That's right.
And to me, it felt like more of a Smith's Grove, but luckily, again, it's just me being generous. It'll be a low average Joe's gymnasium.
But you are, Ted.
Yeah, he calls me Ted. Absolutely. So, guys, what did you all think about The Conjuring? The Devil Made Me Do It. Did you actually enjoy this movie? Which is great that you did. Awesome. Or you kind of like us, like you're just really disappointed and you just expected more. Let us know in that comment section down below. Let's get that discussion rolling.
And if you want us to find the reels, you can do so by finding us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, Snapchat, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and TikTok. Those links are going to be in the description for you to find down below.
Absolutely. And be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe. And, of course, ring that bell, ding, 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 so you know when the next video is up and ready.
Use the devil as your legal defense. That's what we've learned from this movie. Use the devil as your legal defense.
And we will. We will. See you guys soon.
See you guys.
Buongiorno.